In this section, we are going to begin working on the products, administration, and display systems. The first thing that we're going to need to do with products is create a MySQL table that we will use to hold products.
Okay.
Let's jump over to the products section of the Stones River logging site. We can see here that each product has things like a title, a short description, and a long description. So much like in the news section, we're going to need to take all this information into account and set up a MySQL table which has fields to store everything. So what fields will we need? Well, we're definitely going to need a title for a product. Now, we need to make a decision about how to store the description. All this looks like it's basically in the same typeface, so one might be tempted to make a single description field and have that contain everything, including a line break. Now, we would run into a problem if we did that, because back on the home page, we have a set of products that are featured on the home page.
Right.
And we can see that we have to have some type of shorter description to place here, otherwise we'd run out of room. And if we look, we can see that that short description matches the first part of the description.
Okay.
So it would actually be advantageous to us to make a separate field to hold the short description. And that way we can put them together easily in this case, but we would have the ability to separate it, or we'd have this alone to go on the home page.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Now, some of the things we're going to do will be similar to the news section. We're going to set it up so that products have an active field, which will allow us to activate or deactivate without actually having to remove the product. And once again, we can see that products can appear on the front page, so we will give ourselves a featured field. So, right off the bat, that seems like that should pretty much cover products.
Right.
Now, there is one other thing that I want to add in addition to what we've looked at so far. And that is, it would be nice to have the ability to go in and reorder products without having to add remove them. In the news section, news simply relied on having the latest post show up first.
Right.
In the case of products, it might be nice to be able to easily go back at a later time and reorganize products. So what we're going to do is we're also going to add a display order field, which will allow us to change the order in which products are displayed.
Okay.
So with that in mind, let's start on the table itself. I'll bring up a blank text buffer, and let's get started. So we have the create table syntax, and we'll call this table products. So let's start specifying fields. We're going to begin with an auto ID field.
Right.
Much like with the news table. As a matter of fact, exactly the same as in the news table. So auto ID will be an integer that is unsigned. That will be not null. Auto increment. Here, E. Right, typing. And it will be the primary key. The next field is going to be our title field for this item. So we'll say that title is going to be a varchar with a maximum of 100 characters. The next field is going to be that short description.
Right.
And we're going to make this field a text field. Now for the description itself, that will also be a text field, so we could almost just copy and paste this in. So we have description as a text field. Now we need things like featured and active. So we'll say feature, and this will be the same as in the news, in the case of news. It will be in a one-length int field that is unsigned. And then same for active. And then we're going to create that last field we talked about, the display order. And it is simply going to be an unsigned int. So int unsigned. So with that, that should be all the fields we need. We have our primary key, the auto ID, we have our title, our short description, our long description, featured, active, and our display order. So let's load this into the MySQL monitor and see if it works. So here we have the MySQL monitor and the logging database selected. So let's paste that in. And it took right away. So everything seems to be working.
Yeah.
So we have our table in place. And really, with that, we'll wrap up this lesson. Again, all we needed to do was take a look at what data needed to be stored for products. We found that we needed a title, short description, and long description. Then we went in and we added other fields that we would need to control where and how products are displayed using featured and active. And finally, we took a look at our display order field, which we will use to control the organization of products.
Okay.
So with that, that's going to wrap up this lesson.